Pickle, let's go to the hotline. We are continuing our series of State of the Program addresses by talking with some of the best and brightest minds around the state. We are joined on the phone line now from ponystampede.com and 24/7. It's Billy Embody. Billy, how are you?
Doing well, guys. How are you?
Doing excellent. Appreciate your time to come on here and talk a little bit of SMU football. I'll start rather vague, kind of purposefully vague here. From where you sit, what is the state of the program at SMU right now?
Yeah, I think it's on the precipice of being a true conference title contender. We've seen them show some flashes, especially in the 2019 season. They went into that Memphis game undefeated and just fell short. A couple bounces here or there, kick return for a touchdown, and they end up going down on that nationally televised game. And they kind of fell off after that, and that's kind of been the thing over the last two seasons that has kind of plagued SMU, is finishing the season strong. That 2019 season, they lost to Memphis. They lost to, I believe, Tulsa, or they had another late loss in the season. And they end up at the Boca Raton Bowl and don't even show up, get off the bus. So this next year in 2020, it was weird. They kind of started out well and beat Memphis. They got that monkey off its back, and then they played a tough game against Cincinnati that was a lot closer than the final score indicated. They just didn't get it done in the red zone in that game, and things fell apart late. But I think that's kind of been the thing, is that they haven't finished the way they wanted to. This year, from just talking with Sonny Dykes, talking with players, being around the program a lot, the thing I see that's a little different is the depth. The depth of this program is standing out to me a lot more. That's been the issue for them for the most part, and finding players that can make stops defensively at key moments. They've done it in spurts. And so I think right now they're on the precipice of being a conference title contender, and they just got to get over that hump.
One thing, and you're a guy who's got your finger on the pulse of the recruiting world, really, really tight. One thing that I think has been really interesting about SMU and the build that they've had over the course of the past couple of years has been they've been very, very active in the transfer portal. They've been very active bringing in transfers. Of course, Shane Buechele, our cover boy in 2020, transferred from Texas. They've been very active there and very successful there. Do you get the feeling that that is a long-term strategy, or was that Sonny Dykes and staff kind of getting the program heading in the right direction, and now they'll maybe pivot more towards the high school ranks?
So it's going to be interesting this year, and I think colleges across the country in 2022 recruiting classes are going to take this approach in a way, and it's be very selective. One, you've got rosters that now are kind of overloaded in a way with those players with the extra year. Everyone on the roster got an extra year, so planning around all of that is kind of the toughest thing that these coaches and these player personnel guys have to do. And I think SMU is going to be the same for this cycle. They're going to be selective. This is the first time that coming June 1 that they'll be able to have really these 2022 guys on campus in well over a year. SMU really likes to know the players they're recruiting well. They want to be verified in their measurements and do all of that stuff. And we haven't had that across the board. And so I think if you take out the 2022 class that they're going to have to be selective on to kind of try to not have some of these misses that I think we're going to see nationally, they're going to be selective and they're going to have a small class. When they get past this cycle, I think you're going to see it pick back up. Mm-hmm. And it'll finally be a roster that's all Sonny Dykes players. I think this is the last year that there should be kind of some holdovers here or there, especially with the extra year. So I think they're going to get into more of the high school recruiting in a way, but this transfer portal, I mean, this is going to become the norm in college football. SMU just kind of has become this destination in a way because it's in Dallas. I mean, you can look at a lot of programs that are in big cities that are trying to take advantage of it. SMU got on it early. I think it's a good model for the program. There's nothing wrong with somebody bouncing back elsewhere. I mean, if Reggie Robertson's healthy the last 2 years, there's no way he's coming back for the 2021 season. He's in the NFL. So, I mean, those are just, a couple examples. Shane Buechele didn't use his extra year. Kylan Granson didn't use his extra year. Even Brandon Stevens didn't use his extra year, and he's only been at corner for 2 years. So this is a program that's taken these bounce backs, whether it be transfers or transfers early in their careers or transfers late in their careers, and they're making them into NFL players too. So I think it's working well.
We're talking with Billy Embody of PonyStampede.com here on the SMU State of the Program address here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, hashtag TF Today. Let's start on the place on the side with that I feel like nobody ever talks about, which is the SMU defense. Well, because the offense, of course, gets a lot of attention, but the defense has been, as good as this program has been in the Sonny Dykes era. The defense has been a problem. It's been a bugaboo. It's kind of held them back. In steps Jim Leavitt to be defensive coordinator, taking over a defense that is in need of an overhaul, especially I would say in up front and maybe in the secondary. When you take a look at the personnel that's on hand and with what Jim Leavitt's going to do you get the feeling that this is a unit that can take a step forward in 2021?
I do, and I think we've kind of seen the wheels turning in the right direction under Kevin Kane the last couple of years. I think he did a good job. I think he was poised to have a good defense coming back this year, and being able to finally kind of put an exclamation point on the transformation that he had been putting in place. But obviously he went up to Illinois, worked with one of his best friends, Brett Bielema, and is now associate head coach up there. But I think Jim Leavitt, and you look at his track record of taking over defenses, they've improved dramatically under his direction wherever he's really been in that first year. And I do expect SMU to be able to do that. I think it's a group that, when I look at the defensive line, it's got too deep across the board. They have some guys that probably fit a little differently than they might want, but they're athletic. They've got some strength. They need a pass rusher. Linebacker, because of that extra year of eligibility, has a lot of guys with experience, a lot of different players. They moved Kiki Burns, a former two-way standout for Pittsburgh and a four-star recruit, over to defense, and he's playing outside linebacker and looked honestly really, really good. And it's where a lot of coaches, I think, around the country are wishing they would have gotten him in the recruiting process. But corner's been an issue. They have some depth. They're bringing in Jahari Rogers this summer, who's a former four-star, and they have Brandon Crosley, another four-star. And then veterans like Armani Johnson back in the fold, and they're high on Brian Massey, who's a young corner out of Katy in the 2020 class, and safety has some depth. So I think all that said, they've got a lot of pieces back. They've got to find out how they fit. Jim Leavitt, one thing he demands is a lot of effort. I mean, he got after him, and Kevin Kane was no stranger to yelling and screaming and bringing the energy, but Jim Leavitt was a whole nother animal this spring. I think if the players do buy in, like I think they're going to, they've got a chance to be really improved defensively.
And then there's the offense, which is hasn't been a problem, although they face an interesting challenge this year. The way that I see this offense right now is running back, check. Things look really good there. Offensive line, check. Things look really good there. Receiver, are you kidding me? Check. Fantastic when you got there. And then there's quarterback, and there's upside, and there's talent there, but not necessarily a known commodity. Do I have the right read on the SMU offense that they are a guy stepping into the quarterback role away and performing well away from being a truly elite unit in America?
I think you're right on the quarterback part of it, because they've got Mordecai, Oklahoma transfer, who look decent over there in that system. Coming in at certain points. They've got Preston Stone, who's got to make the adjustment to college football and was a four-star recruit and top 100 type player. And then Derek Green, the veteran of the group, so to speak. He hasn't really played much at SMU, but he's been around and been in the system. And he looked, honestly, dramatically better this spring. I mean, he really made a statement, I would say. I don't know if he'll start, but certainly made a statement in this three-headed quarterback battle. But I'll say this, the running back room is interesting. You had Ulysses Bentley, who was a freshman All-American, had some really big games, but then he had his moments where he just kind of disappeared, hit a little bit of a wall, I think. And that's kind of natural in a young running back. But he missed TJ McDaniel, who really set him up well early in the season, went down with a season-ending leg injury. When TJ would come in and kind of pound the defense early, Ulysses would bring the speed, and they would kind of be off and running, and that they lost that. And that, at that same game, TJ McDaniel went down, Reggie Robertson went down. So things really changed against Memphis for SMU in their season. And I'll say that Trey Siggers is North Texas transfer that they're going to bring in this summer. They feel really good about him. So the running back room has some depth. Tyler Levine's a former walk-on who built like a truck. And then offensive line, I think, is too deep, and they're competitive. And there's guys that have started. I was doing a preview actually on this today, and Hayden Howerton and Alana Lee have started, I believe, about 40 games for SMU over the last 5 years. And they're two players that could very well be either moved to another position on the offensive line or just lose their starting job. There's young linemen like Marcus Bryant, Branson Hickman, some of these other guys that are coming up pushing and pushing. So that goes back to the depth. So this offense, it needs to be more physical. It needs to be more relied upon when it's 3rd and 1. You got to get a yard. They've got to be able to do that. The quarterback play will certainly help in that regard. And they've got some wild cards like Grant Calcaterra, the former Oklahoma tight end who transferred in after sitting out a year of football. That if he pans out, he'll be really good. So this offense has a lot of pieces. Again, it's just, will it all come together like it has the last 2 years?
He's Billy Embody. He is of ponystampede.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Billy Embody. Billy, appreciate your time, my friend, and appreciate the insights.
Anytime. Thanks for having me, guys.